Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brew or Screw It, a Commander deck building podcast. I'm your host, Cody, alongside my good friend, Lazz.
Hello.
Lazz, what's up?
Nothing much. Figured we're doing a little surprise episode here. This is not our usual recording format here. We're not going to be discussing a deck. This is going to be a little bit shorter of an episode. And it has to do with the new set that just came out.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about March of the Machine. Well, no S, apparently. I've been saying machines like crazy.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Just a lot of cool cards coming out in the set.
Cool
so, we wanted to sit down and just talk about a couple of our favorites. I think this is I know I've only been around for 3 sets since I started playing in October, but this is a really cool set. There's so many cool things. There's the Multiversal Legends cards coming back, the team-up cards, battles, new Praetors, just a ton of good cards in the set for Commander and for all the formats.
It seems
very
stacked, and very stacked in favor of Commander, which obviously we are all for. So we're not doing a crazy full set breakdown or going through each rare or mythic. We just kind of picked 3 cards. Some of us picked 3 cards. Some of us cheated.
It's 3 cards.
Flip cards count as 4 cards. No.
Do they? I don't think they do.
But so we just picked 3 of our favorite cards and just kind of talking about why we like them, what decks that we currently have maybe that they'd be good in, or maybe they just become kind of a new staple, because I do think there are a couple of new staple cards in the set. It's great Commander set.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, almost every card you could find a use for in a Commander deck somewhere. So yeah.
All right.
So I think we both have 3 cards each, as we've said. Laz, why don't you go first?
Okay. Should I do all 3 or just kind of do my first one here?
Well, we'll go back and forth.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. The first one that I picked is Tribute to the World Tree. It is green. It's an enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card if its power is 3 or greater. Otherwise, put 2 1/1 counters on it. Fantastic card. I love this card.
Amazing. Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, this goes right into Ruxa right off the bat.
Yes.
Just kind of vanilla tribal with the counters, but this kind of seems like this goes into, I don't want to say every deck that has green, but it definitely goes into every mono green deck.
I think it definitely goes into every mono green deck, and then it definitely goes into decks that look to benefit from +1/+1 counters, like my Minsc and Boo deck. The new backup Commander pre-con of this launch with Shalai and Alar as well.
Love that deck.
+1/+1 counters are great.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's just really good. It's let's see.
Yeah, it's everything you want. Card draw.
Everything you want.
Make stuff stronger.
Card draw. You get the counters. It's 3 or greater. So you kind of.
Yeah, I just think this is really strong. This reminds me of a Greater Good or something like that, where you could just not Greater Good. What am I thinking of?
You're thinking.
Is it Greater Good?
Greater Good is.
Or is it Elemental Bond?
I think both of those do the same thing, don't they?
Do they do the same thing? I mean, hey.
That's right.
I run both of them somewhere, I'm pretty sure.
Greater Good is yes. No, that's
Greater Good is
creature,
the sack. I'm thinking of Elemental Bond. Elemental Bond is the card I'm thinking of. My apologies. We'll be cutting a lot out of this episode. Elemental Bond. It's a better Elemental Bond because you're getting to, you get the draw the card off the 3 or greater, but also put 2 1/1 counters.
So that's my first card. Cody, what do you got?
I have a team-up card of Zimone and Dina. This is a black, green, blue Sultai Commander card. Legendary creature, human dryad. It reads, whenever you draw your second card each turn, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So kind of incentivizing you to draw another card each turn. And then they have tap, sack a creature, draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 8 or more lands, you repeat this process once, and they are a 3/4. So I saw this card, and when I first saw it, I didn't really think much of it. But then I was like reading it on Twitter and like listening to people talk about it, and I realized this is a really good landfall commander. And I've been looking at possibly doing a landfall deck in the future one day because I am crazy and think about 9 million decks all the time. But it gives you that way to draw a second card, so you get to target someone to lose 2 life, gain 2 life. It's a sack outlet, so you can do a little aristocrat stuff.
I really like that.
You get to play.
I like that sack effect where you get to draw the card and put a land onto the battlefield. That's just, you get to pump out free lands, and then it even lets you repeat it if you have 8 or more lands. That's just that's fun because even later in the game when you have a lot of land and say you're everything's kind of working, you're drawing a lot of cards and doing your thing, you can kind of sometimes end up with a couple too many lands in hand, and instead of pitching them to the graveyard, this gives you, if you have a little token or something like that, you might just be able to get some 2 lands, I guess 3 lands out in one turn. Your first land, sack, and play a second land, and then if you had 8 or more lands, you get a third land out there in one turn. That's a lot of value for a card that's only 3 mana.
Yeah, 3 mana, and just a lot of crazy things that you can do with the landfall effects. Probably trying to make a lot of tokens, and then a little bit of life gain in there. So you have a lot of avenues you can go with this card, and I like it a lot. I think I'm gonna end up making a little deck around it, doing landfall shenanigans.
That's a shocker. What, you think this would be your landfall commander, or would you just do the colors and have this in there? What do you think?
I think this would be the commander.
You think it's strong enough to pilot a deck on its own?
I think so. I think you can do a lot with it. Like I said, I think maybe it starts as landfall, and then I end up realizing oh no, you can really, make this more like aristocrat-y. I think the only limitation is that it's whenever you draw your second card each turn, and so you don't really get a benefit from drawing past 2. But getting to draw 2 cards a turn better than drawing 1. So
drawing 2 cards a turn and playing 3 land is that'll get you places. It only takes you 2 or 3 rounds of doing that, and you're super far ahead of everyone else at the table. So I like that. I think it's a very neat card.
Yeah. What you got, Lazz? What's your next card?
All right, my next card is Ortheon, Hero of Lavabrink. It's 3 colorless and a red for a 3/3 human soldier. It has pay a colorless and a red, tap, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste, sack it at the beginning of the next end step. Or you can pay 6 colorless, a red, to tap and create 5 tokens that are a copy of another target creature you control. They gain haste, sack at the beginning of the next end step. I love cards that are useful when they come out and then continue to be useful throughout the game, kind of as a mana sink or whatever you may need. So I think this comes out pretty strong. It's a 3/3, and you can just pay 2 and tap it, and you pretty much have, it's pretty much a Kiki Jiki. It's another target creature you control, so obviously it can't be legendary, but unless you got some other situation going on out there, but it gets you another copy of one of your creatures if it has a really good attack trigger, if it has some type of trigger on it that lets you draw, or if something happens when it dies, whatever the case may be, it kind of lets you make another token like that. And later on in the game, if you have a lot of extra mana, you can just pay 9 and create 5 tokens, which is just absolutely bonkers. If you have a great card out there that's not legendary, and you just make 5 copies of it and they all gain haste, that could be a Gigantosaurus. Who knows? You put this on there, you make 5 copies of it, they all get haste, and you get to swing in with that. So I really think this card is good.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's strong. I think you had talked about putting it in your token deck from the
precon.
Phyrexia All-Be-One precon that you upgraded. And I think it'll be really good there because I mean, if you get to activate the 9 mana one, making 5 tokens, all those tokens are gonna have double strike. So you do that in something big. That's crazy.
Yeah, that deck has a lot of tokens. Have double strike. Have tokens have vigilance. Tokens have lifelink. It's got a lot of that stuff in there. So this being able to create 5 tokens, they're all hasted, double strike, vigilant, whatever shenanigans I got going on in that deck. It's I bought a copy of it, which I'm glad I did because I don't think I ended up opening any of the pre-release stuff that I bought. But yeah, that goes right into Nayali, and it kind of goes into any other token deck with red. I think even if you're doing a goblin deck or something, this would be great in a Krenko deck or something like that, where you're making copies of other goblins and creating 5 tokens and then activating some goblin effects that make copies based on how many tokens you have. So it's I think it'll kind of pull its weight in a lot of different archetypes and decks.
I also think it might be a really good just straight up mono red commander, because like think about all the really good mono red creatures that you could just be making tokens of. I mean, Atali, Terror of the Peaks, the dragons, the red copper dragon, things like that.
Oh God, having
and then there's
that red copper dragons,
right? And then there's what is that card that like you can tap it and it just ends the turn, like you skip your end step. I don't remember what the card's called, but like that's a way to get around the whole sacrifice at the beginning of the end step.
That's the commander. What's her name? Obeka.
There's a commander, but there's also like an artifact that does it, and like and so it's like, man, if you could like build this deck around that, where it's like I'm gonna make a bunch of copies of like a cool creature and just end the turn after my second main phase and get to keep them, that's really strong. I think this is a really good card.
Yeah, I already slotted it into one deck, and we'll see if I end up picking another one up. I don't think it's even that expensive of a card, so yeah, $150. So yeah, I'll probably buy another one or two just to have floating around, because who knows? I like tokens. I'm a sucker for tokens and counters, so they tend to work into my tribal themes a lot. So I really like this one.
Yeah. Next up, I have Sirach and Goreclaw. This is 4 generic green for a legendary creature, Human Bear, because that's a thing that exists, is human bears. It has trample. It says other creatures you control have trample. And whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. And it is a 6/5. So I've been looking for like a nice mono green commander, and I think one that gives haste and trample, does pretty well. Mm-hmm. So 6 mana is not too hefty. I mean, it's a 6/5 with trample on its own, but then like I just think the benefits you get from having it on the field for like, this turns old Gnawbone into something very scary, because it comes out, it's an 8/8 all of a sudden with haste, and it has trample. So if someone's playing flyers as well, they're still going to get a hit for something. You can slot the original Goreclaw in that deck to make it cost less, things like that. I think this is a really good mono green commander. It might just also go in mono green decks, where you want to have the ability to give stuff trample and haste.
Yeah.
So, but I think this is going to be my mono green commander when I sit down and build a. Yeah, I like this one a lot.
I like it. I wish it was a little bit cheaper. 6 mana is kind of expensive for other creatures you control have trample. You can kind of get away with that with just static effects on cheaper creatures or on enchantments and stuff. But I do like that. You get to give everything haste and trample, and it gets a counter. So it is nice. I'd be very curious to see what route you go if you do build this as a mono green deck, because mono green, just small creatures,
just good stuff,
just mono green good stuff. Yeah, because
good stuff.
I looked at this for
Galta, just all kind of crazy, just good green stuff.
I looked at this
and then make it fight.
Yeah, and make them fight. I wanted to add this to Ruxa, because bears and stuff, but Unfortunately, it goes against the whole thing, of giving everything trample. So then Rux's effect on proc. So I kind of looked, saw that. I was like, all right, just kept on moving on. But kind of looking at it more and, and hearing your points on it, I think it'd be a very fun commander. But I'd like to see what route you would take with it, because there's a couple of different ways it could go. Green good stuff, or just kind of green weenies. Get a whole bunch of little stuff with counters, haste and trample out there. Who knows?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's a sexy card.
All right, Lazz, what's your last card?
My last card. I saved the best for last. So since I've, we discussed this 2 weeks ago, making this list. So
yes,
since I've made this list, my last card that I picked has shot up like $5 or $6 here. So, I'm gonna say it, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, well, obviously. But at the time I made the list, it was not as popular as it currently is, and that's Fairy Mastermind. It's one colorless and a blue for a 2/1 fairy rogue creature. It has flash, flying. Whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, draw a card, and you can pay 4 to have every player draw a card. Absolutely love this card. I think I know 2 or 3 decks that this is already going in, but besides that, I think this might just be a new blue staple. Kind of a 2-cost flash. Opponent draws their second card, you draw a card. So I think that's a really good card. That's what's that mono white card that does the same thing, but kind of like Esper Sentinel. That has kind of a tax effect on it, but is that drawing a second card? No, that's playing a spell.
I think it's. Are you talking about Archivist of Agma, where if they search their library, you draw a card, gain life? Yeah,
a couple of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is it's insanely good because people want to be drawing cards, and so you get to take advantage of that pretty hard with this card. Also, it has evasion. So I've been looking at building an Octavia the Living Thesis deck, and I put this one in there because I was like, gonna draw me some cards, and it's got flying, so it can become a pretty powerful 8/8.
Oh, this goes in the mono blue deck that we talked about.
Did you build?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Week 1, because that definitely goes right on there. Because absolutely, whenever you draw your second card each turn, you get to make some drakes. So this kind of goes right into it. So I honestly don't see any blue deck that you wouldn't put this into, though. A 2-cost flash card that lets you draw a card, whenever someone draws their second one. When would that not be useful? And when are you playing a game where people aren't drawing multiple cards?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is in our format, you want to be drawing cards because it gets you to your win cons faster, and so you being able to draw a card off of that is pretty good.
Yeah, I really like this card. So I bought one. It was the first card I bought when pre-release came up. And then I proceeded to open, I think, another 3 copies in the packs that I bought. So now I got 4 of them. So it's maybe I'll sell them back to the shop. And I was like, well, I guess this goes in Animar. This goes in that new mono blue deck. This could kind of go into, Feldegriff too? Why not? I kind of was able to find a home for all my copies, I think. So. Yeah, I like the card, and I think you're gonna see it a lot on EDH Rec whenever you go to brew a deck that has blue in it. I think you're gonna see this as high synergy for a lot of different decks, a lot of different commanders.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so last card, or last 2 cards in your case, What do you got?
So last card for me is going to be Shieldred, no title. 3 generic, black for a legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor. She has Menace, and when Shieldred enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker.
Boo.
You can pay 4 generic and a black, exile Shieldred, and then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. You can only activate it as a sorcery, and only if an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. She's a 4/5, and so when she flips, she becomes the True Scriptures, which is an enchantment saga. The first counter is going to be for each opponent, destroy up to one target creature or planeswalker that player controls. Second counter, each opponent discards 3 cards and then mills 3 cards. Third counter, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control, exile the True Scripture, and then return it to the battlefield. That is a fucking card right there.
That does a lot.
It does. So I went to Command Fest Orlando, and this was in my pre-release kit that I pulled when I played in the pre-release event. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. For me, not so much for my opponents.
You're not making a lot of friends with this card, I don't think.
You're not. But I mean, I don't even care if I die. I just want to get to that third counter where I just get to bring everybody's stuff back onto my board. That is the Reanimator dream, Lazz.
Oh, I know. That is Rise of the Dark Realms, just as a saga piece, which is fantastic.
I think what's even better is, so like after you do that, you then get to flip her back over and she ETBs again and makes more people sacrifice stuff.
Yeah, it's great because like Rise of the Dark Realms, I love that card. That's a bomb of a card, but it kind of counts on your opponents already having stuff in their graveyard. This is great just because, like you said, ETBs, it's putting stuff into graveyards. It flips as a saga, you're putting more stuff into graveyards. Step 2, you're making people mill, potentially putting more stuff into graveyards. So it's a better Rise of the Dark Realms, kind of, just because it kind of loads everything up. The only problem, it's a creature, so it can get destroyed or exiled, or once you flip, to the saga side, it could get removed before you hit that third step. But
yeah,
man, if you get that off, that's a game winner. There's no way that happens where you're not winning the game once you're putting all creatures onto the battlefield under your control, and then you just start it right back over again. It's not like this is a one-time only. So I really like that. I'm gonna hate seeing it. I hope you don't play it. But that's a powerhouse of a card.
Yeah, I'm excited. I do think I'm gonna build this one day because it's gonna be fun. I don't know. I also picked up the old school Shieldred, the Whisperer one.
Okay.
And they're both in kind of similar arts because I got the ink splash art is what I pulled, and I bought one that's in that art style. So I think I just gotta get the other Shieldred, and I can do a little Shieldred tribal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I like this card just because when I first started playing Magic, so me and a couple of my friends, we started playing when Dominaria first came out. So not terribly long ago, but for whatever reason, I trying to think about it now. I have no idea why. I remember me and my friend Nick were like, let's split a box. And it was the first box that I think it was definitely my first box ever. I think it might have been his too. And we decided to split it. And before we even opened it, I was like, if one of us opens Phyrexian Scriptures, I want that card. And now looking back, it's not that good of a card. I have no idea why I wanted it so bad. Maybe just the art's cool. Maybe because I was new to Magic and Sagas seemed cool. But for whatever reason, I was like, Phyrexian Scriptures, that's the card I want. So it was kind of cool seeing a callback to that card with this. This card that does it much better. So it's a much better card than it. But I kind of just liked the little callback of that. That was kind of a fun surprise when they were doing the spoilers and stuff for the season.
Yeah. But yeah, I think all the Praetors are really good from this set, but Shieldred's definitely my favorite. So I'm excited to get to building around it.
Yeah. No, it was all a very good set, and even the precons all seemed really good. I know you and I both got the same precon, the Knights one.
The Knights.
But even the other precons looked really good too. What was it? There was that Naya one, the Shalai and Halar. was the
There's
alt commander for that, I think. That one deck.
Yeah.
And that looks sick.
Bright Paws is the actual one. The Convoke deck is actually really interesting. I watched someone play that in a pod I was in at Command Fest, and that was really interesting to see. There's the Phyrexian and like threat one that kind of let me down because I was like, oh, it's Phyrexian tribal, and then like when people reviewed it, they were like, it's more about artifacts, and I was like, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah,
so never
I'm
mind.
not big into artifact decks. Yeah, I don't know why. Artifacts can't get excited about.
And then the Teamer one, also artifact based. And so I was just like, no interest in that. I'm good. I have my Necrons to do that with.
Yeah, but yeah, I liked the Shalai and Halar as the alternate commander because little spoiler, the commander that I'm working on for the deck tech this month happens to share similar colors. So this card is most likely going into that deck just because it kind of wants to do the same things. And hey, look at that, it gives counters. Who would have known? For those who don't have the deck lists in front of them, the Shalai and Halar flying vigilance. Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalai and Halar deal that much damage to target opponent. So for someone that loves counters, I saw that card in the pre-con and kind of made my ears perk up. But that night pre-con just seemed fantastic. Plus the return of horsemanship, which is I've never played cards with horsemanship. I don't know what the last year was or the last set that they even pressed any of that.
I think it was a very long time ago, from what I understand. So,
it's strong, man. I'd never really looked into it because it's literally never come up on any of my decks I've been searching, but horsemanship's really, really strong. Maybe that's why they stopped.
I wonder if it comes back in the Lord of the Rings stuff, and that's why they felt comfortable printing it here.
You think that's what it is?
Because like the knights are like Rohan and stuff like that. I mean, they're on horses, so
it's gotta have horsemanship.
It's gotta.
Just
like if you have a bow and arrow, you should have reach.
You know what though? I think we go back and our friend claims that every creature with a bow and arrow should have reach, and we made fun of him. And then I think he proceeded to pull up like at least 10 different cards with bows and arrows that had reach. Yeah,
it was very funny.
Oh well, maybe you're onto something. I think it all started because Kogla doesn't have reach, and we all complained about that. It's like a giant ape
just
on a building swinging at a plane. It's like, nope, no reach. It's like he's literally reaching in the card art at a flyer. It's like, no reach. But, all right. I think this was just a little short and sweet episode, about a half hour, just kind of going over some of the cards that we're excited to build around. And who knows, hopefully the next set that's coming out, which there's already some leaks and spoilers online of that. So maybe when that set's closer coming out, we might probably do the same thing. Just a short little, hey, here are some of the cards that we're looking on, and hopefully not pick the most generic cards of the set that are kind of no-brainers to add, which I don't think we did. I think we picked a couple of fun ones there. So, but
and I mean, there's a lot of ones. There's a lot of good cards in the set, and just I'm excited for the future sets as well. The next one would be March of the Machine Aftermath. We'll probably do another little small podcast about that. Well, you can let us know what your favorite cards from this set are over at Twitter it's going to be at Brew It or Screw It. You can also email us, brewitorScrewIt@gmail.com. Remember to like and follow and leave us a review on iTunes and Spotify and all that, which we should shout out. We'll talk about it more on the next podcast, but someone left us a 5-star review, and so thank you so much for that.
Very nice. I took a screenshot and everything. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
First thing I did, I think, is took a screenshot, sent it to you. I'm like, hey, is this one of your friends? You're like, no, I thought it was one of yours. Like, oh my God, a stranger actually listened to it and thought it was good enough to review. So, by all means, keep those comments.
Really appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. It's all kind of started just because you and I like just rambling on about Magic cards to each other, and if someone else enjoys it too, then hell yeah, man, that's even better.
Even better, yeah. All right. Well, I think it's going to do it for this week.
Yeah. So when's our next episode coming out? So today is so we're recording this on April 20th. So this is coming out.
So the episode 3 of the deck building side of this podcast is going to be coming out on May 1st.
Monday, May 1st. So this will probably push out 24th or.
Yeah, I'll probably put out the 24th.
Okay. So you get a little extra episode in there, a little something short and sweet, just like us.
Yeah. I am short.
Me too. We've never met.
Sweet, I don't know.
I'm very sweet.
We're very sweet,
Right.
yeah.
On that note.
All right, we should get out of here. All right. Until next time.
All right.
Should we say brew it?
Or screw it.